Hello everybody, welcome to Tree Doctors. We're starting the program on the grounds of the Craighead County Jonesboro Public Library. Stick around, Ed's going to give you some tips on how you can take care of your trees. It's all coming up right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, some trees have insect problems, some just have construction damage. Well, we can handle them both generally at the same time. I'm using a soil injection here, building a mold of chemicals all around the root ball. It gets translocated into the crown of the tree. It has a very long residual. Stays working for a year or better, killing insects as well as growing new feeder roots and increasing the canopy of the tree. 9 different chemicals is going in this at once. So there's so much we can do that we used to couldn't do, and it's in most cases it's cheaper than it used to be. And just name me just any one thing that's come down in price. Well, taking care of your trees have come down in price. Give us a call. You'll be surprised. We're the Tree Doctor, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees.
Let's go out into the field with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey, right now on Tree Doctors.
I want to talk a little bit about this elm tree and this, what this sap is coming out of up here. This is called slime flux, and it's a sign of inward damage. It's a bacteria canker that these elm trees develop, and as the sap oozes down on the bark, it becomes an alkaloid type substance, and it causes the bark to roll off if it doesn't rain a lot and wash it down. So eventually it just turns into a big, kind of like a sore on a person, but a big streak with no bark growing. This tree got treated and it's got a bug problem, but this slime flux, it's not a bug, it's bacteria canker. But what my stuff does, it helps pick the vigor of the tree up and lets the tree wall this off on its own, because there's nothing known to control this, and other than the tree controlling it itself. So if you see this, this is called slime flux, and you can look it up on the internet or whatever, and that's the bleeding internal damage from a tree. And this old elm tree will be doing better. I'm here with Douglas Reuter. I got your name right there, Doug?
Reutler.
All right.
Real hard.
It's a hard name, it sure is. And we were here filming, and Douglas walked up, and you're a steady viewer of our show, aren't you?
I try to be, except it's a little bit late at night sometimes, so I'm not always aware when it's on, but I flip it over and I sure stick with the show when it's on, yeah.
Yes, sir. A lot of people aren't aware we're at 12:35 on Friday night, in addition to Saturday and Sunday at 6. So it gets to late nighters, you know. Well, what do you think of the show?
Yeah, it's informative, and I like the guests on there. They always have something you don't see on regular shows that makes it interesting. I live on Ashwood in Jonesboro, and I planted 3 apple trees, 2 in the back and 1 in the front. And one in the back is, well, the 2 in the back are doing the same as the 1 in the front, and they're I've never sprayed them. I understand you're still supposed to do something with apple trees, but I don't know the routine, so I haven't checked. But I have these little apples that are up there today, you know, about, oh, God, there must be 3 dozen, you know.
Right.
And my question was, how can I make those little babies bigger, or they will eventually get bigger? I'm not really sure this year. They're more than they were last couple years.
Sound like you've got a disease on your apple trees, and it's probably scab. And if you check with your county agent, he'll give you a brochure that tells you when the sprays and when and what for and how often. It's several sprays to get good apples to start with. And but if you do those sprays, you'll see them mature and you'll see the apples get bigger. And it's most crucial once the apple has formed to take care of it, to keep the insects off of it. But you're 50% over the hump now by having the smaller apples. But if you'll do a little bit of fertilizing and a little spraying next year, you probably have your crop of apples.
That sounds wonderful, right? I wonder if I could just use one of these pump sprayers, because when
definitely.
you say sprayers,
Oh,
I
yeah.
figure that's
little home,
I don't have-
what I call a
yeah.
home sprayer, and your county agent or your extension office, I should say, will furnish you a brochure. You just tell them what kind of tree you got, whether it's a plum, whether it's an apple,
Yes,
whether
sir.
it's a peach, and it'll give you a detailed schedule.
That's wonderful.
What to spray, and it's more of a preventive maintenance than it is killing the bugs. If you'll do the preventive maintenance angle, then you won't have bugs.
Okay.
So good luck with your fruit tree.
Yeah. Thank you a lot.
I'd like to show you what scale looks like on a tree. That's these little bumps that you're seeing on in between the leaves, and underneath that's a crusted part is a little tiny sucking insect that sucks the sap from the tree and actually lives off the tree. And they're very difficult to control. Spray doesn't normally get them because they're under that kind of like an armor plate. But when we systemically treat, when the scale eats the tree, then of course it gets the chemical and they die. So that's the most efficient way to take care of your scale. We do a lot of it, but that's what your scale looks like. So next time you're out looking at your trees, pull a branch down and you might have a scale problem. That's what it looks like. I want to talk a little bit about tree placement in a yard. It's easy to see now that these trees are too close together. Something's going to have to give. And you can understand why you want to plant as many as you can, and because normally the healthiest survive. But when it comes time, you need to just bite the bullet, go ahead and prune the ones that don't need to be there. In this case here, this one that was a damaged area in the bottom, it would be the one to get rid of. And at some point in time, you would probably get rid of the one right here beside me and leave the other one as the other one grows and gets larger. Because you don't want them competing and growing against each other and being one-sided. Trees just don't do well that way. So give them room to grow, and as they grow, as years pass, do some selective thinning and take care of the remaining trees, and you'll have a nice yard with nice trees. I'm here in Jonesboro inside of this beautiful library, and here with me is Phyllis Burkett. She's the director here at the Jonesboro Library. And Miss Burkett, what made you call me in about your trees?
Well, my mother was visiting, and she happens to be a tree person, and she noticed the scales and the insects crawling out of our trees and said, Phyllis, that tree is going to die if you don't get it taken care of. So we called you about 3 days later.
Yes, ma'am, and I've since treated the trees here on the grounds, and they're going to do a lot better, but I was just amazed on libraries have always interested me anyway, and this is a very nice facility.
It certainly is. We completed our last expansion in the year 2000, and at that time hired a landscaping company to help us improve the appearance of the grounds and to keep them looking well. But we had some ice damage about 4 years ago, and so while we've done a lot of trimming on the trees to get rid of the damaged limbs, we hadn't realized that it had left them exposed to the insect problem.
Yes, ma'am, if I was guessing, that's probably where your problem started, and you've got a few growing restricted areas too for the trees, and what I put down will help that also. But your grounds overall, you hadn't lost any major trees at all, have you?
We did not lose any major trees, for which we're very thankful. The trees here have been here since 1964 when the first building was built, and a lot of tree growth and donations of trees have taken place over the years, and we have done our best to take care of them, although we are not experts. So we seek out those who are when we need help and ask them to help us keep the grounds looking as nice as we would like for them to. We want them to be a park type area that when people say, gee, I'd like to go sit outside on a bench and read my book for a while before I get picked up or I decide to go on with my day, that the grounds are appealing for that purpose.
You betcha, and I even had to try out one of the benches out there myself when I got hot earlier. But I'd like to put a plug in for the library, because a lot of people now are going just strictly to the internet, and that's wrong because they don't have that hands-on book feel anymore. And the research I've done in the past, the library was very helpful to me.
We think that there is still information in print form. We still have books, but we also have computers. The library will add some more computers this summer, and we'll have approximately 40 public access computers in the building by the 1st of August. And so we encourage people to let us help them find their information, whether it is on a computer or maybe still available in a book, and that be the best source for them.
That is wonderful, because if you hadn't got it in stock, they can look elsewhere right here on site.
Right here in the building. We will help find the resource right here in the building. If it's not in our building, it may be available again electronically. We can have it shipped in here, and we should have it in 24 to 48 hours in some cases. So we do our best to be timely and as current as we can be in information. Now, if you need it in the next hour, you really put us under some pressure, but we'll do our best even to get it for you in an hour if we can.
That is super. I was looking too, you keep a big assortment of daily papers too, don't you?
We do. We have over 200 newspapers and magazines that are in our browsing area, which is where we're sitting right now. We also keep a large collection of what we call bestseller, current fiction, current nonfiction type things that people will find just of interest, again, that they may want to sit here and read for a little while, or something that they'll want to take home and check out. It's an easier part of the library to browse and just find something for take-home purposes. The primary collection, which is over 80,000, is located at the other end of the building, and it's located in stacks and ranges, which is the best way to house those.
Yes, ma'am. And you've expanded your hours here too, haven't you?
Yes, we have. We now open Monday through Saturday at 9 o'clock every morning. We close at 8:30 on Monday and Tuesday nights. We close at 6 Wednesday through Friday nights. We close at 5 on Saturday, and we are also open on Sunday. We've been open on Sundays since 1995 from 1 to 5 o'clock, and we are so pleased to see so many families come and make that their family time on a Sunday afternoon and visit with us. Use our children's library, which is a fabulous space, just full of all kinds of things like our 8-foot model train, our 100-gallon aquarium, a fire engine you can play on. You have games, and of course we do 20 programs a week this summer in our facility. So we encourage people to drop in for a program. Almost any time they'll be here, there'll be some program for children.
Oh, so there's something to do. That is real neat, and you know, it's really for a town the size of Jonesboro. Of course, Jonesboro's bigger. You know, it's over 50,000 people. But I've been in the Memphis library in years past and had to do some research on some patents that I had before I went to the patent attorney, and they were helpful to look stuff up. But you've got this facility here is just right up there with Memphis.
It certainly is. We pride ourselves on having programs comparable to any major city. We've had people visit here from major cities or move here from major cities who are really pleased with our children's library and its services in particular, and find that they haven't missed much by moving to a smaller town. So we hope people will learn to think of the library as a first place, research place, and if we don't have it, we'll help them certainly find the place that does have the information they need, so they don't just go out there in the world floundering and saying, where do I go and what do I do? Libraries are here to help answer, where do I go and what do I do? And if we don't have it, then it's our responsibility to find those other locations. And all of our staff take that responsibility very seriously, and we will certainly find you the information.
That's a wonderful attitude to have. And I want to thank you for taking a minute to talk about the library, and we might come back here in the future and check on what I did to the trees and see what you think of them.
I certainly hope you will, and we appreciate what you've done. And it's a leafy green area out there which people can come enjoy every Tuesday night in June at our outdoor concerts. We have some wonderful performers coming this summer. Friends of the Library sponsor that activity, so we hope everybody will bring their picnic supper and their lawn chair and join us out under the beautiful trees.
That will be super. Thanks again.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of people ask me, how much mulch is too much mulch? Well, let's see here. I can tell you right now, 10 inches of mulch is too much. You don't want to get it that deep. You never want over 2 to 3 inches, I would say at the most. You just reactivate it. You just come in here and turn it ever so often. You won't get grass through it. You can see right here on the edge where this Bermuda grass is coming through. You just kind of turn it a little, let it cover it. It'll kill out that grass. But a lot of times people just keep piling mulch, more mulch, more mulch. And you create a wet environment around the trunk area that damages the tree. So you don't want that right piled against the trunk real deep like that. So if you got that going on, kind of pull it back and you'll be glad you did. You'll help your tree. I want to talk a little bit about fire in trees. Right here's a fence row. They burn out all the underbrush, and when they did, they scorched every one of these trees. Pretty bad too. And the sad part about it, these trees will never recover from this. They will always be damaged. Trees aren't like you and I that heal. A tree compartmentalizes. So when it destroys a chunk of bark on one side and cooks it, it can't grow the new bark. You know, new cambium can replace it, but there'll always be a damaged area underneath that. So be real careful when you're got fire and trees, and this was just a whole lot of damage that could have been avoided. Some big, nice oak trees up and down this fence row. So try not to let your fire get out of hand. It can really hurt your trees. I'm here with Tim Rodney, and Tim, we was talking a little bit about you watching our TV program. Which show you like best, one to Saturday or Sunday morning?
Sunday morning.
You a pretty regular viewer?
Yeah, I watch it every morning, every Sunday morning when I wake up.
Good deal. Do you find it informative, or anything on it that you'd want me to change? Or?
No, it's all pretty good. Everything's good on it.
Well, man, we like to hear that, and even our other viewers, if they see something on there they want to see again or something, you know, just write us. You got our number, our email number, or call us, and that's what we're there to inform you. And we appreciate you, Tim, letting us know what you think of the show.
You're welcome.
Talk a little bit about damage in a tree. Like I've said so many times, a tree doesn't heal like you and I. It compartmentalizes, so it has to close over, and there'll always be a damaged area behind this. This tree was injured several years ago, and it's trying its best to close over, but during the process you can see where the borers have started working on it, and the ants have gone behind the borers because they like that, like we like a cave. They like the borer galleries, the old black ants. So if you see a bunch of black ants around your tree, you can figure they're going behind the borers. But it's best not to hurt your tree to start with, so you don't have this problem. But if you got a tree that's injured like this, if you don't have a spraying schedule going on yourself to keep your insects down, well, when that tree gets a little bit in decline, or the conditions gets right, or we get drought conditions, or for some reason the tree gets stressed, and that's when the insects are going to go to it. So try not to injure your tree to keep this from happening. I'm here in the backyard with Janine Wood, and Miss Wood, about almost a year ago, you had an experience with a tree trimming firm you might want to pass on to the viewers. What happened to you on this big old oak behind you?
Well, my fault. I didn't check before he left the premises, and I looked over his work, but there's a big limb that he had to take off, and it's a bad jagged cut there, and the story is, he said he got into some bees and he had to make a quick exit down from there, but according to you, I need to get that taken care of, that it's still ragged and it's not a good thing.
Right, he should have corrected that, and there's some other dead pieces in it that should have been removed at the time he was up there, and he'd agreed to do that, yeah. I think.
Yeah, and there, like we were talking about, there are some places that it's hard to tell, I guess, at the time of the year what limbs are dead and what are still going to have some life in them, but this particular one was dead from the word go. It was just that it was done pretty jagged, and it doesn't look good, but I don't think it's good for it to stay that way either.
Yes, ma'am. I tell the viewers to try to hire a firm that doesn't use the tree climbers or the spurs on their feet, which this guy had on there, because a reputable climber, he's going to know how to climb. But most of them's either hooked up where the Chamber of Commerce will recommend them, or they got a certificate of insurance, or they're not just coming by knocking on your door. And that's what happened with this guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's somebody that knew about somebody, that kind of thing. And there's a lot in this neighborhood that are in the same position that I'm needing tree trimmers. So, you know, it's just because somebody says that they can trim trees may not mean they do the best job in the country. So I think checking them out is good advice before you employ them to do any kind of extensive tree trimming at all.
Exactly. Make sure they at least advertise an area for several years, and then you got a lot of people you can call on and check on their quality of work. And generally somebody else you know will know them. Isn't that right?
That's right. And that's like you. I mean, I know I needed somebody to treat my trees, and I knew you had a long history of in that work, and had even come up with some innovative ways of treating them. So I didn't have any problems at all as far as that goes. But now I'm still in the market for tree trimmers and some limbs, but I'll probably get it done.
Yeah, you will. I'll give you some names before I leave here, and we'll get you somebody over here that'll finish the job and do it right.
All right, I'm looking forward to that because there's still some work to be done.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thanks for talking about your trees.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about over-fertilizing. I guess most people know you can overdo anything, but one of the signs you'll see, especially on your small trees, you'll see the bark pushing apart, cracks in your bark, lesions we call it, up and down. And then if you'll follow it on up into the tree here, you can see on this branch here where it's cracking there. And what that does, and over at this side also, if the camera will show it, it busts that bark because the tree is actually growing. You got too much nitrogen and you fertilize, and it's growing faster than it can put on. So what that does, that opens up an area for insects to get in this tree, also for disease also. So don't over fertilize when you're doing your lawn and stuff. The right amount's fine, but when you over fertilize and start seeing this on your trees, you're heading for nothing but problems in the future. Cost you a lot of money to fix it, and it's going to damage your tree. So watch out when you're just throwing that fertilizer out, except after Thanksgiving when it's dormant. You can't hurt too much then, but you do it through the growing season, you can overdo it pretty easily. I'm here in the backyard with Maud Boyd and Mrs. Boyd. Why don't you tell our viewers what you did here with the rocks and the gravel?
Well, we laid down the rocks to make a pathway to walk on, and then we decided the shade, it doesn't let any grass to grow here, so we decided to put the pea gravel down so it would be not muddy when we walked out on it, and you know, it just looks better. It's just a better design.
Yes, ma'am. Very innovative idea. This pea gravel, you call it, in between there, and you're thinking about maybe doing some more around the top around there.
Yes, that's what we plan on doing just a little bit later here. Maybe it might be fall, but we're planning on fixing that just like this.
And probably low maintenance here too, isn't it?
Very low, very low. We like that.
Yes, ma'am, I do too, and I like innovative ideas, and I want to mention to the viewers that they could do that, and there's no certain arrangement of the rocks. You just use what you had. That's right, isn't it?
That's the way we did it, yes.
Well, thank you very much for showing us.
Thank you.
Miss Boyd, why don't you tell our viewers what we have going on here?
Well, this is, as you know, we have all glass that's coming out of this room downstairs, and so we had this rocks all put here for a little privacy, and this is a patio down here that we really enjoy that we can come out on, and you do have privacy because of the rocks.
Excellent idea. You can seclude yourself off in wintertime when there are no leaves. You still have a little seclusion, don't you?
That's right. It's very, very, very private.
Yes, ma'am. Between the fountain in the front and back here, you got it going on, don't you?
We got it going on. Trying to.
Yes, ma'am. Lovely home. I love what you've done, and I know you're still in the process of doing other stuff, but you're 99.9% done, aren't you?
That's right. I am.
Well, thanks for a minute taking time to talk about your house and your trees.
Thank you.
We want to talk a little bit about mulching your tree. And a lot of people think when I'm talking mulching your tree, I'm talking about right around the edge. That's not necessarily so. The bigger area you have, actually, the better for your tree. Here you can see these gorgeous hostas, and they got some azaleas in the background. But around, the main thing, the perimeter of what they've got boxed in and what they're keeping mulched is a piece of metal that keeps it from coming out on the sidewalks and washing all out in the yard. And it also holds that moisture in, along with your other organic material. They have other organic material mixed in here with a small amount of wood chips. I think it's cypress chips, I believe. So they won't have to worry about termites much. But the better area you can mulch around your tree, the better off you are. And if you got a big estate like this right here, then you can do a big one like that. But if it's half that size, you're still going to create an environment that the tree's going to like. And it's kind of what we call a compost tea. When this breaks down, it really feeds the tree and nourishes the tree and keeps the tree healthy. So you have less insects and less disease and less problem with your tree. So, this is very good. And so maybe that's a good thought for today. maybe do a few of your trees like this, you'll be glad you did. Here's a tip from one of our clients, Floyd Britton, here in Cardwell. Floyd, what did you put around this plum tree when you put it in a few years ago?
I put it's actually the water meter base. When they were redoing the town, they had some scraps left over, and I put the extra pipe around there. I actually put that around there so that I wouldn't run over it with a lawnmower.
And that keeps your weed eater from whooping it too, don't it?
Yeah, the weed eaters doesn't get up in close at all to it, and so it keeps the ground actually a little softer around there, so the weeds, when they do come up in it, they're easier plucked out.
And that's about 12 or 14 inches tall, isn't it? Buried in the ground.
Right, and it works good. I've got it around several trees.
I also noticed you got a 4-inch piece of PVC pipe inside that. What's that for?
Well, that's when I remember it, I fill that up with water, and that gives it supposedly a deep root feeding of the water. It gets it way down into the root system, and that's probably a couple foot deep. And I just pour that and fill it up, and it'll soak right on down into the ground.
Well, that's a great idea, and it didn't take, it just took a little bit of time, and it'll stay there for years and years, won't it?
Yes, it'll be there as long as that tree's there. So.
Well, I bet our viewers will appreciate getting that tip passed on, and I appreciate you talking about it, Floyd.
Well, thank you.
I probably tried out over half the benches in southeast Missouri and northeast Arkansas in my 38 years of doing these trees, but I just can't resist checking a bench out sitting underneath the tree, and especially in the summertime. I'm here at Jonesboro Public Library, taking a break from treating the trees, and they've got the grounds laid out just great where you can enjoy the shade, and got other people sitting here reading out on benches, and it's a very good layout as far as the trees and the ground. And just had to check this bench out and see how it checked out. It checks out fine. You know, great strides have been made in the chemical community as the technology come available now where you don't need to cumbersome capsules to tree, and we can put actually 9 or 10 different products at one time in a tree. You can see it boiling out from around the base of that as I'm injecting this into the soil ball. Amino acids, different miticides, insecticides. We can choose what we want to treat for, and we get a long residual from this. So you get a year's worth of good, or longer, out of our injection when we do a tree. An actual moat of chemicals put around your tree, and it's all moisture activated. So as the weather hits it, or the rain, it supercharges it again and carries through the tree. So to get rid of your unwanted insects, or to revive a tree to put new life in it, you know, that's what we do. We put the zap back in the sap. We give new life to old trees. That's what we do. We're the tree doctors. Dickey Tree Service in your yellow pages under trees.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have today for Tree Doctors. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you need to get in touch with Dickey Tree Service, you can call the number below, or you can go to dickeytree.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Tree Doctors.